Welcome to E360 TV, the live streaming and on-demand destination for influential voices and enlightened audiences. We offer trending, grassroots, and purpose-driven content across a diverse range of interests. E360 TV is more than just watching programs. We offer the ability to interact with live shows connecting audiences to real, authentic influencers and storytellers while streaming to millions of devices. Real experiences. Raw conversations. One destination for it all. E360 TV.
5 years ago, the Power of We Symposium was created to provide a platform for kids from all sectors where they could have a safe and comfortable environment in which to share both their joys and concerns. The Power of We Symposium is proud to have served over 250 kids throughout Romania when we took our mission global back in May of 2023. Now, 2 teams of amazing volunteers from both the U.S. and Romania embarked on an 8-day Legacy of Hope tour, bringing encouragement and hope to not only the kids of Romania, but also the adults who support them, and also to over 100 kids here in the U.S. who contributed handwritten letters of hope to our Romania mission of 2023. Now, this year, we are proud to provide this opportunity yet again in October, and we are super excited to up our game. New venue, 750 kids this time, and we want to see you there. We're looking forward to meeting you in person at this year's event, which promises, as always, incredible speakers, amazing content, and of course, some of the greatest kids on the planet. So, mark your calendars for October 24th, and we'll see you here in Chicagoland for the Power of We Symposium 2024. This year's theme is Always Together, Never Alone. Tickets are available now on Eventbrite or at powerofwesymposium.com.
don't see. What's yours for the taking tonight?
Good morning. I got to pop my collar. Hold on. Go. There we go. Okay. Oh, it feels so luxurious. I'm just saying. Good morning. 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 Welcome to today's installment of Bathrobe Moments. I'm your host, Dr. Lauren, and I'm back. I was gone. What was it? Last week. When did I leave? Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, and then yesterday. Right. So in Wisconsin, speaking, presenting, loving up on, being loved in return by hundreds of social workers / therapists. And which is a dicey thing. I'm married to one, but boy, when you got them all around you, you could tell when they're looking at you like, boy, I wish I could get you on my couch. And yeah, I'm like, get out of my head. Right. So anyway, it was a great time for all. Thank you so much, Family Services of Wisconsin, for bringing me in to pour into your people and for allowing your people to pour into me. It's a two-way feed when it is divine. That's that 8, that infinity thing. You see it? See it? Okay. So there you go. And I just wanted to say, I hate when I'm not here with you guys, but I love when I come back and we're together, because together we create, we prove that promise, the one that guarantees where 2 or more of us comes together, wonderful things happen. So I just want to give you a heads up. Friday will be another rerun, because I will be flying out Friday morning, early for a one-day event, coming back that night, headed to New York City for the Black Young Professionals Summit, which is just, I'm so excited to be in that. Where am I? Hey, peeking around the wall. So anyway, this Friday, that's where I'll be, but I hope you're here. We'll be pulling up one of our great episodes, and there are hundreds of them. This is our 8th year, 5 days a week, 50 weeks a year. So we've got a lot to pull from. There's the Bell of Purpose. Speaking of 8 years, it's been here the entire time. I ring it on purpose with purpose because, well, first of all, let me just disclaimer and say it's not a show prop. It's not a gimmick. Seriously, I prefer to refer to this bell as a reminder, an opportunity that just like that bell has a ring to it, so does the truth. Make sure you're tuned in to your own, and then you will hear the truths around you. Can I get an amen? There we go. So other than that, just welcome to the show, my sidekick. She too has been here all 8 years. This is Lucy McGillicuddy Ricardo. And I love me some, we're drinking some mocha coffee today. A bag I got, what's that coffee place that costs $1,000 a cup? Oh, Starbucks. Yeah, I got it from the grocery store, and it was on sale. So let me see what the hype is, and it is good. It really is. So anyway, today's guest, interesting today. I usually, if it's beauty products and this, that, and the other, I'm like, they ain't made it. Yeah, they have not made a product yet that can help this. So not that I know of, but who knows? But this young lady, Jamila Bannister, is just doing her thing, and she wants to pour into all of us here today. So who is she? She's a brand and marketing strategist. So I just want you to know, doesn't matter if what you're trying to do or already doing is within the beauty world, just anything you're trying to brand or market, this could be your girl. Okay. So, but she is a brand and marketing strategist for beauty and personal care brands. She's worked in corporate communications, public relations, and branding for over 8 years. And then she made the transition to entrepreneurship way back in the dark ages, 2016. Hey, that's the same year I started in this business, 2016. She's focusing on working with entrepreneurs to grow their personal brands. Now, there's more to it inside of her bio, but you know me, I'd rather get in here and let her fill in between the lines than me tell you or read it. So the first timer, you know what we do. We put our hearts on the screen. It's our way of saying welcome. It's a digital standing ovation. I hear her headed down the hallway. Here she comes. Ooh, sound like she wearing some heels. Good morning, Miss Jamila. How are you?
Good morning, Dr. Lauren. I am fantastic. Thanks so much for having me on.
Now let's talk about this shiny skin because I know you're like, woo, is that the lighting or is she glowing? Tell them about she goes, that's my moisturizing regime. You're in the beauty industry, so look, we want to know. First of all, just say hello. We'll get to the shiny skin because I want to hear what it is you put on. I'm going to dip out for about 60 seconds. Let you just say what you need to say, what's on your heart, pour into everybody, give them, your rendition of your bio, maybe where you're at in the world, that sort of thing. And then after 60 seconds, I'll come back in and we'll get this party started. Sound okay?
Sounds fantastic.
Okay. And I'm just letting you guys know, I don't know how to shut my mouth sometimes, but today there is a slight delay. She's in the Caribbean. And so there is a slight delay on my side when I speak. So I'll be pausing a little extra or trying to so that we don't step on each other's words today. So there we go. I'll be back in 60. Take it away, Jamila.
Okay, well, good morning, fine folks. Thanks so much for having me on. As Dr. Lauren said, I am Jamila Bannister, and I am a marketing and brand strategist for beauty brands. I focus mainly in the space of e-commerce, getting these beauty brands online, particularly indie beauty brands. So if you are currently a kitchen chemist where you're mixing up all of your body butters and all of your candles and all of those types of things, and you're not quite sure how to get it online, I'm the girl for you. But quite apart from my work life, I'm also a breast cancer survivor. And one of the things that has changed tremendously in the last year after being diagnosed is now understanding my purpose more clearly and feeling so drawn to give back and feeling so drawn to just to be able to kind of spread light and to use my journey as a lesson for other people to come. It has inspired many things, which includes a store that I have, an e-commerce store called The Beautiful Market, which focuses on helping women who live with hair loss. I have lived with hair loss. My hair is actually just growing back. And so I know exactly what it's like. But this year is about purpose. It's about beauty. It's about money. It's about
just abundance.
Just abundance.
That's what I put it all in one big old Gucci bag called abundance. So
exactly.
Camilla, can I start here? I want to talk to you about we'll get to the e-commerce and your YouTube show, The Lipstick Effect. I'm going to talk about that. Yeah. But let's start with this breast cancer survivor piece, if we could. Sure. What year were you diagnosed?
I was diagnosed last year, 2023. Actually, my 1 year anniversary of being diagnosed just passed on the 4th of May. So wow. Just 1 year inside of this journey so far.
Okay, so take us back if you could. How did you discover that you had breast cancer? Were you doing the mammograms or were you doing the self-test? How did you, because I feel as much as we hear about it and, we think we know and everybody, of course, they're doing it. It's not what we think. So tell people how because early detection was the key, I'm assuming?
Well, the thing is, it's a bit of a mixed up story in the sense of I felt some pains. I would say something like, like some scrapes across my skin. But I felt it deep inside and I wasn't sure what it was. So I had gone to the doctor in, I think about December of 2022, and she examined me and I had a clean bill of health. And then eventually, things started to look a little strange, my breast started to swell out of my shirt and it was very strange. So I discovered it when, unfortunately, in my mind, when it had gotten to a bit of a distance, because usually these things don't show themselves until they are
up and kicking. Hey, how you doing? Exactly. I'm here. Right. Okay.
Exactly, right. So they come through the back door and they just kind of take over. But the interesting thing about my story is that I have a rare type of breast cancer called inflammatory breast cancer, which means that it wasn't detected on mammograms. It wasn't detected on breast ultrasounds.
Okay.
So it was a little bit difficult to be able to get the diagnosis because I was kind of bouncing around back and forth. And one of the reasons that I decided to kind of speak publicly about my journey was because I felt like that was something that people needed to hear more about, because of the fact that the typical advice is to go and get yourself examined or do the self-examination. But what if the self-examination or even the regular scans don't give you anything conclusive? Like, what next? Because you're sitting there, because I was sitting here still very much in pain, and after having done at least two scans, and everybody is saying we don't see anything, we don't see anything. I'm just like, okay, you don't see anything, but I am still feeling this, so something
and I'm feeling it, right?
Yeah, right. So something obviously is wrong. So fortunately, because I am somebody who is extremely, extremely tenacious, right? I just kept going back.
Good thing, yes.
Yeah, right. So I just kept going back. So I went back to my original doctor, my GYN, who she's become my de facto doctor for everything. And she looked at the images of my breast ultrasound scan, and then she said, you know what, I think your breasts are inflamed. You need to go see a breast specialist. So I literally took a referral letter from her, left her office, and walked to a breast specialist that wasn't too far away. And from there, everything just started to like snowball. So, I got a scan, and he was like, listen, something is going on here. We need to get you into MRI immediately. Did that. And from there, everything just started happening. And
so you lost your hair. So does that mean you did chemo?
Yes.
Or radiation?
I did chemotherapy. Radiation is still to come. But I did the chemotherapy. So I did go through the hair loss, and I did experience all of the things. Well, some of the things that go along with chemotherapy. Fortunately for me, I don't think I had it as terribly as some people do have it. But you know what? I made it through.
You made it through. And right there's the key. I made it through. Doesn't matter what they said. Doesn't matter now when I found it, how I found it, you know. But I want to go to the moment you knew for sure what was going on. Let's talk about this piece. What did you reach for to say, not me. I'm going to beat this thing. Are you spiritual? Are you religious? What? Because, the reason I'm going there, Jamila, is because I want as many of us as possible to understand that we can get to our divine purpose. If we're not already swimming in that pool, we can get to it without having, some horrible disease diagnosis. A lot of people get there because they have no choice. This sort of thing happens. Talk about the difference between the you before the diagnosis, as far as understanding your purpose, and the you after, which led you to the woman we're looking at today. How surprised are you in the two differences as far as these two different worlds?
Oh, wow. What a fantastic question. So prior to May 2023, I think I had it on my heart that I wanted to get closer, work on my relationship with God, to be very honest. Mm-hmm. I mean, it's a home I grew up in. It's something that I hold very, very dear. It's a core part of myself as a person. But I think having gone through this, you absolutely have to reach for something beyond yourself. There's no way you can make it through something as difficult as this without seeking comfort, support beyond yourself and beyond the human part of yourself. You have to tap into that extra spiritual strength, and I do have a lot of support in my circle, fortunately. And I used to pretty much, there's this video on YouTube a friend of mine sent to me, and I would fall asleep to it, and it was the recital of scripture, about healing scriptures, and that was very soothing to my soul. And after having experienced that at the beginning, because naturally, as I think most people would experience, hearing that type of news for the first time, it's almost like you get a jerky effect. It kind of jerks you back, like, wow.
Yeah. You wake up one person, and you never wake up as her again.
Never. Like, no, in
You're
no
changed
way.
forever.
Forever.
So, what was the first? Were you scared?
Absolutely. I was terrified. I was terrified. I was angry. I was frustrated.
Angry.
I felt a mix of things because I'm not even 40 years old yet. And everybody kept saying, "You're so young, you're so young, you are so young. You know what is going on? This is not something that typically affects women as young as you. So there must be something
But it
else
does.
happening."
It does.
And
I don't know who came up with that story, but yes, it does. And let's just keep it real. When they were like, "Oh, you're so young," it's so young. You know, it's like when I have I've had some women on the show that had talked about their body transformation and the
yeah,
shaming and stuff when they were overweight and this and the other, and how people would say, "You got such a cute face," but
yeah,
they want to say, "But if you just lose some of that damn weight." That's the rest of the comment. They're thinking they won't say it. And when people say things like, "Oh, you're so young," be ashamed if you was to die. You know what I mean? That's what they're thinking. And you know that when they say it.
yeah,
You
yeah,
know that. So,
yeah.
okay. So you hear this. I just, the people, I was going to say you people, those of you who have conquered this, right?
Yeah.
I just love these stories because they're all different. And I just want to know, and then we'll keep it moving. But you said you were angry. At what or whom? God, maybe? Who were
I don't
you
know.
mad at? What were
I
you
don't
mad
know. I think I was just angry at the situation. I was angry about how unfair it seemed. Because
at? Mm.
as far as I'm concerned, why me? You know what I mean? Why? What did I do? You know, I tried to
See?
do all the things
What
that
did I do? As
yeah,
if it were a curse or a timeout or a, you know.
exactly. I know, and but then I had to come to the realize I spoke to a friend of mine, and he told me, you know, he asked himself the same thing, but then he said, well, why not me? You know, I mean, what makes me? I mean, I just so happened to pick that. You know, life just happened to give me that deck of cards, and it could have happened to anybody. So we would go through those. I suppose grieving in a sense because I'm thinking, will I live to see my next birthday? Because
Mm.
as much as I try to not let myself run away inside of a Google sinkhole, you Google and you're like, all you see is death. All you see is death when it comes to this particular strain of breast cancer. You know,
Really?
inflammatory breast cancer affects women of African descent, African American women, more than any other race of woman, and we have also the highest rate of mortality because many times it is caught too late, and I can understand because of the amount of time I spent going back and forth trying to figure things out. Fortunately for me, where I am here in Trinidad, we do have a very robust cancer treatment system by the state. You know, it's very good and we don't have to pay. So
Oh, that's good.
yeah, it's very good. I mean, I would have blended some of it with some private care, but I think we have a very good system. So, but it is something that it affects women of African descent particularly very much, more than any other race, white, Latino, any other race, and it's something that is very aggressive. So, upon hearing that, you know, you're thinking, oh my gosh, will I live to see my next birthday? I had so many things I wanted to do. I still wanted to fall in love. I still wanted to have a child. I still wanted to have
All
a
that
house.
stuff comes rushing forward.
Yeah, and you're like, and immediately you pause planning for your future because will I even be around to
Will
see
I
it?
even be around? Now, what about the people closest to you, parents?
So yeah,
'Cause,
so my mother is also a survivor, right? My mother is a survivor. And I remember in the early parts of when I was saying to her, like, Mommy, there's something I'm feeling and I'm not sure what it is. And she was convinced she was convinced that it could not be cancer because cancer does not hurt. Because she experienced it and it wasn't painful. She just happened to discover a lump at some time.
Did she? So she had breast cancer, but a different strain.
A different strain, exactly. So with her, there was a lump, so it was detectable like in an obvious way. With me, it wasn't like that. So when
Oh, no lump.
no lump,
Oh, I
no
didn't
lump.
even know that was a thing.
I didn't either. I didn't either. So it's more invasive. It wasn't anything. It wasn't like a lump. It didn't display like that, which is why it was so hard for them to detect. So when I was telling her that, I'm feeling this pain, and she's like, well, I don't think it's cancer because cancer doesn't hurt. But back then, both of us were not aware of how many strains there are. And I've come to learn that there are 16 different types.
Of breast cancer alone.
Of breast cancer alone, yes.
Did not know that.
Yeah, I've come to learn that there are 16 different types.
Wow.
And so even going through the process of investigation, I wasn't overwhelmed or anxious because my mother told me it couldn't be that, so it could not be that.
And who doesn't listen to their mother, right?
Exactly, know.
Mama's
and and I don't know, I was kind of just living life. I was doing whatever I wanted, going out with friends, and I was just doing whatever. But as for the woman I became after that, I became somebody who I had anxiety of the average person. My anxiety was through the roof with this. I was somebody, I was always I'm very sociable, I'm very gregarious. I disappeared from social media. I withdrew completely. And there were several reasons for that, quite apart from the obvious, quite apart from feeling overwhelmed and stressed out and not knowing what to do. I felt it was also important to control the circle I was in and control the communication and control the people, because I wanted my story to be treated with dignity. And sometimes when you go through these types of issues, and there are people who only have a very tangential understanding of what cancer is or what a serious disease is, they will. And I don't know. Real talk. I live on an island. People talk a lot, and they say lots of insane things, right?
Yeah. That's a big piece, Jamila.
Yeah,
that's a big piece, because they were like, "Did you hear?"
Exactly. I mean, you got it.
And you see them looking.
You have it.
Dead girl walking. No, we can laugh now, but the looks, all that stuff is rushing in, while you still have to maintain that mindset of a warrior.
Exactly.
Because if you lay down, it will let you.
Exactly.
It will let you. So let's talk about this part. When you started the treatments and the hair, because this is the segue into the work you do in the beauty industry. And we've seen a lot of women. There are a lot of women long before Jada came out with her book and alopecia, and Will got mad and slapped the boy and all that. It's been happening. I had a couple of coaching clients years ago who wore wigs and nobody knew, because they put some money in them. You could not tell. And I remember the first day that a woman, matter of fact, this particular woman, I reached out to her this morning because her photo showed up as a memory. And every time that photo does, I send it to the person and say, "Thinking of you today, friend," because I am, because there's a reminder. And I'll never forget, we were at an event in California, and we were in an Uber, my husband, she and I kept talking about how beautiful her hair was. And I was like, "Man, you ought to start a wig line." She goes, "Well, I'd get sued because this is a wig." And I was like, "What?" And then she told us about alopecia. I had never heard of it. I did not know. And then the next day, somebody else told me that. So let's talk about when you started losing your hair. How much of a surprise, if any at all, did you find that this is your crowning this, or did you know it was going to feel, did it feel like losing a limb? Kind of. How did it feel? And what did it feel like? Oh my God, my hair is going to be gone. I'm going to be bald. What was it like for you, and how did you deal with it? And how did it lead you to where we are today with the beauty stuff?
All right. So, well, to answer your first question, yes, I didn't know. I didn't expect my hair to fall out because remember, my mother's a survivor, so I would have had a front row seat to her experience, knowing that she would have gone through.
Oh, you saw her? Okay.
I saw her, right? I wasn't living with her at the time, but I would be here all the time. So I saw her, and I saw how she went from having all of her hair to having none of it, and eventually getting it back. I mean, albeit a different texture, but I saw that she went through it. But going through it yourself, there's a strangeness to the way that your hair goes. So from the time you get chemotherapy the first time, I remember thinking that, I don't want to lose my hair because truth be told, I was a natural girly for about 10 years. And then I fell to the creamy crack. I went back and I got a relaxer, and my hair was just like really fantastic. I was just feeling myself a whole lot. And then I came and that happened in like, I think about February of last year. And then by May I got diagnosed. So I only had my relaxed hair for about 3 months, right? And then when I did the first session, I remember thinking, okay, maybe I'm one of the few people who's lucky enough and I wouldn't lose my hair. And then about 13 days post first chemotherapy session, I washed my hair and I was like, all right, it's still good. And then I combed it. And once I combed it, this side came off. And how it comes off is not like, it just breaks off or whatever. And I've seen some stories with some Caucasian women who said they went to sleep and they saw their hair in the pillow. No, my hair just literally came off in my hand, and it kind of lifted like a hat off of my head eventually.
Wow!
It just got loose from the roots and just kind of like came off.
And what was that day like? The first day, I mean, were you like, I'm going back to bed, I'm not going outside? Because now you have to wear a hat or you wear a scarf. Talk about the transition. And then when people see women in scarves, we automatically go there.
They know. So when it first happened, I was kind of shocked. I'm like, how did so much? And then I'm like, oh my God, my hair's coming out. But at that point, I kind of sat with it. And there's a part of it that was a little bit cathartic. And I'll tell you why. It's because I'm anticipating this thing. And then it actually starts happening, and I'm just like, okay. And slowly, bit by bit, it started coming out in chunks. And eventually, I asked my brother to come over and just take it all off. But I think at that point, because I was already putting up with the side effects of the chemotherapy too, so my mind was in a few places, because I'm getting, my stomach is hurting and my skin is uber dry, and I'm feeling all sorts of other feelings along with the hair loss. So even though I did feel a little sad, I mentally prepared myself for it, but I have so many other things going on. And I'm not sure if other survivors will say the same thing, but there's so many things happening to you at that same time that you're not quite sure. Focusing that on the hair loss alone, you just don't have the energy to do all of that.
Exactly. Now, you just mentioned some things I've never heard before either, but now that I hear it would make sense. We always hear about the hair loss, but and you're in the beauty industry, so let's talk about it. What else was affected? What about your gums? You said your skin. What about of course, I think appetite we've heard about, but what about your nails? And as far as hair loss, is it just the hair here, or is it here and eyelashes and where and all that?
Everywhere, like every single hair, everywhere.
Eyelashes?
Everything. Eyelashes, eyebrows, hair, everywhere. Legs, even.
What about inside your nose?
Well, I don't know. I guess I didn't really see. See the hairs and my nose.
So what did your eyebrows go? Wow. Okay.
Yeah, they go. They go completely. So you look kind of like a newborn baby. That's what you look like.
Last question, because I don't want to miss the work you do, but I want to ask you this question. What did this experience do, Jamila, as far as improving your lifestyle, the quality of life, what it stands for you? For instance, I hear a lot of people when this kind of thing happens, they're forced to consider more holistic approaches to everything, diet, their products that they put. All of a sudden, all the crap that's in things starts to matter. It's a real education. And so many survivors feel compelled to use that education to help other people, not just people with diagnosis, but just before, don't wait until something like this happens to make the changes you need to make. How has your life changed as far as its usual routine, diet, exercise, since having the cancer?
It has changed quite a lot. Now, I was somebody who was always obsessed with like losing a little bit of hair, like a typical woman, losing a little bit of weight here, losing a little bit of weight there. But there was always a very emotional connection with food. Whenever I had to, and I would call it restrict myself from eating certain things, I would always feel sad and I will always feel deprived. But my mind immediately shifted from being deprived because I changed my diet drastically. Anything that could cause inflammation, I cut it out completely. And for the first time in my adult life, I dropped weight like that without one day of exercise because I just didn't have the energy to exercise anyway. And I just saw myself, the weight just falling off. When my friends saw me, they were like, wow, you you definitely lost a good amount of weight. I lost like 25 pounds.
Now, did they think it was because of the treatments?
Well, no, I actually told them that it was because of my diet. So they knew it wasn't because of the treatment. And because of the fact that I was inside a lot, I didn't go anywhere because I really took that time just to, think about things and kind of recalibrate my life and think about how am I going to approach this thing? How am I going to wake up every day and face a new day? So there was a lot of time I spent at home inside of my own dark space, I would say.
Dark space.
Thinking about it, physically dark and mentally dark. I had that time. I had that time when I was going through that. And thankfully, I have friends and family who continue to check in on me until I got to the point where I decided I could either be a victim to this or I could decide that I'm going to like be in charge. So that's what I did. So in terms of my life, I had to change my diet. Exercise was back on the agenda being high priority. It wasn't like, I'll do it when I'm able to, or I'll do it when I can, but I absolutely have to do it all the time. And yes, what you say is correct. Everything matters. I'm reading every label. I'm making things from scratch. All of the things that I didn't think I could do. Oh, I can't not eat that. Oh, I can't have that. No. I no longer have having an emotional attachment to food was because sometimes I look at people online consuming food, and I see how the food is just like almost like a lover to these people. Like
very much so. Myself included. Absolutely right. You're absolutely right.
So I couldn't I had to break up with it. I had to break up with food and just keep it as a friend as opposed to a lover.
Right.
And changing my life and also being much more intentional about like the choices I make in everything in terms of the people I hang out with, the things I eat, the things I even put on my skin and my hair. Your beauty routine changes a lot too, because you can't use the same products, the generic products you would use before aren't gonna cut it anymore, because my skin became extremely dry. I felt like I got like my top layer of my skin burnt off. It literally felt like that. And coming back from even when the chemotherapy was finished and I started to get my hair back, I still continue to use these products because I am now on hormone therapy, which also affects things, right? So you have to think about, for example, for the first time in my life, a few weeks ago, I got an allergic flare-up. I have never had an allergy in my life.
Oh.
And it was so uncommon for me because when I saw it develop in my skin, I'm like, oh, what's this? And I just kind of like brushed it off. And then I woke up 2 days later and my entire body is covered in hives. I'm like, when did this happen? When did this happen? And it took 2 weeks for it to go away. So because it had gotten so far, but now I'm seeing things popping up that I have to be more intentional about the things I consume, what I eat,
Sure.
You know what I mean? So
yeah.
It's good. It's good because I feel like I'm so much more purpose driven now. I'm so much more purpose driven.
There you go.
I'm glad with the purpose God has for me. I am more aware of what I need to be doing now. It's like a clarity that
It got you there. Yeah, it's never about one thing, you guys. I tell you that all the time. So, Jamila, the short hair. Before the cancer, did you wear short hair ever? Because it looks great on you.
Thank you.
It really does. It suits you.
Maybe a couple times in the past, maybe a few years ago, but I had made a decision that I like my hair as my hair, and I'm not going to cut it for any kind of style. But clearly, cancer chemotherapy, didn't want to hear that. So,
but have you embraced it? Do you think from time to time you might come back to the short hair after this experience? It looks great.
I might. Thank you so much. I might. I mean, but I do like me some tresses. I have to say, you know, I do like it.
I can't even remember what a tress looks like. My stuff. Look. So let's go into the beauty now. Before the cancer, how deep were you inside the work you do today? Were you already doing this? Did it mean the same thing then as it does now? How did that all work itself out?
So to some extent, I was deep inside of the world of marketing and marketing for beauty brands. I had started that in around 2021, like pandemic time.
Okay.
And as I said, that came about because the truth is that the pandemic really brought a lot of industry to its knees. And that in part of that was the beauty industry. A lot of people couldn't open their studios to provide beauty services. So I was in my mind, I was thinking, why aren't more beauty service providers, why don't they have their own products? You know, so they could always supplement and they could always, you know, pivot in the event that something like this was to happen again, or even as something in their own life, they want to go on vacation, they get sick, you know, and they can't stand for 5, 6, 7, 8 hours a day doing hair or putting in lashes or whatever the case may be. So my mindset was around empowering beauty entrepreneurs who are mainly service providers and to get them into thinking about having their own product. And then there will be other people who are beauty enthusiasts. Because I'm a makeup artist by training. I mean, I don't do makeup artistry on anyone, but that opened my world to the beauty industry when I did that training many years ago. However, having gone through this experience, it has changed for me because I never saw myself on the beauty entrepreneur side as in having a product. I never thought about that. I was always somebody who wanted to support the industry and train and educate and teaching. I really do like to train, educate, and teach. That's really something that I like. You know, I kind of naturally fall into it. I always find myself talking to people and giving them advice. And I mean, of course, not in any rude way, but you know, just kind of offering some thoughts if I think there's something that could improve. But once that happened, of course, you're sitting next to many people like yourself when you go for treatment. You're seeing women, you're seeing some women in there, and you're seeing even newbies coming into the process, and you see them, you know it, because I was that newbie at one point, sitting in the doctor's office, looking anxious, kind of like shaking my leg or like, you know, rocking slightly back and forth, like you know, anticipating what they're going to say to you. So sometimes I see these women, I just said, you know what, listen, everything is going to be okay. The doctors here are very, very good, and they have your best interests at heart. So once I'm going through the experience, and I'm just like, because I remember I wanted to get into hair sales, and I actually had gotten a few items. But I never sold them because, to be very honest, I didn't really have a strong USP, a strong uniqueness. I mean, the industry is so competitive, right? You really have to be clear about what you're going to do, right? So, but before I could do anything, I ended up getting diagnosed, and I had to go and buy a wig for myself. And the funny thing is that those wigs that I had kind of were hair. I mean, it's hair, so it will always be good. It's in packaging, never opened, never touched. And then this year, funny enough, when I was hoping to get back into work, I had a job interview. I had a job interview for a company that was selling hair to women who would live with hair loss. And I was like, wow, this is the perfect alignment. I live with hair loss. I wear wigs. I know exactly what it's like. I have the knowledge of a marketing professional. So I married the both of them, and I came up with this campaign idea. I interviewed, and even though they liked me, I didn't get the job. So
were you overqualified?
I have, up to this day, I have no idea why they didn't hire me. But I said to myself, I said, you know what, this is divine purpose from God. I think he was showing me that, listen, this is what you are supposed to be doing.
Exactly.
These are the women that you have to pour into with your experience. It's one thing to have knowledge and to have training as an academic to be able to look and seek money. It's a whole other thing to be driven by purpose. And this is So now what I do, I find myself so happy to be able to marry what I can do from a advisory and marketing point of view, and draw from my own experience as a survivor, as a customer of the type of business that I would sell, as a somebody who is very, very deep into all the products now, because I'm looking at everything, will it work well for me, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
And it feels so aligned. Like I've never felt this type of alignment and clarity before.
Wow.
So to some extent, cancer did serve its purpose from that way for me.
Uh-huh.
And as I said, I chose, because in this life you could choose to be a victim of a circumstance, or you could choose to extract from it what you need and move on.
And keep it moving. You got that right. Let me ask you this piece though.
Yeah.
A lot of people, I've had so many guests over the years who have, for a minute, an online or e-commerce site, store.
Yeah.
And a lot of them, it's not the kind of thing you want to be a hobbyist with. You have to be pretty tenacious on it, and figure out, you got to hack it.
Yes.
What am I doing that's not working, and what am I not doing that could work, and boom, boom, boom. Talk about the people that come to you for your expertise on, okay, I want to be successful with my e-commerce site. What are the first 3 tips out of your mouth? I mean, how do you vet people to know they're going to do it? Because I think it takes a personality, a certain mindset to be successful with e-commerce.
Yeah.
Talk about that if you could. What are some of the traits of a person who could be pretty successful at this, should they put their mind to it?
Well, I think the person needs to be, first they need to understand it's a long game, right? It's a long game. So it's not something that you're going to fall into and immediately, unless you have some sort of massive following, you're some type of influencer, and people are ready to buy your product, right? But even in that, marketing is a very iterative process. You have to go back, tweak, change, fix, and it's a very dynamic type of discipline. So when you are looking to have an e-commerce site, first you need to be clear on what your brand is, because before we even put anything into your business, 3 things. I was doing something last night. I say you need to focus on what your message is, what your story is, and also what your brand is. Who are you? What are your values? What are the things that are driving your business? And I think quite a lot in the beauty industry, because to some extent the barriers for entry are low. People can get in really quickly. You can private label something. You could buy something from China, slap a logo on it, and call it your own.
White labeling.
Yeah, right. You can do that, right? You can do that. And because you can do that, it means that lots of people will enter this industry. However, the people who understand the critical nature of brand, about standing out, about having a really compelling story and something for people to connect with, those are the ones that will float to the top. Those will be the cream of the crop. And too often people start businesses just because, I think it may be a good way for me to make money, or I think it will be a good way, it's something that I like. That's great. But at the end of the day, you are not the only person using your product. You have to get customers to like it as well. So it's really important that you figure out who are you once you go into the market, who you are, and because that has to translate over to your e-commerce site. How you position it, how you stack up next to the competition.
All of it. Now, I have an idea. It's an assumption, and we're not supposed to assume, but I'm going to go there anyway. I have a feeling, a sneaking suspicion, that a lot of people that are entering this market, e-commerce, especially in the beauty industry, think that they can put the site together on Canva. And you know what I'm saying? Like, not everybody is a web developer, and you can tell when somebody did their own website and they don't have that touch. I know better, because I know my strengths and I know my weaknesses, and I know that is not a gift of mine. So I go and I get somebody who can. Talk about, do you see a lot of people that try, because everybody I know with the e-commerce site started by doing it themselves, throwing it up, and it looks like an old shanty. You know what I mean? It's like, So talk about, where do people go to get started? What is the name of a person who, now, is that a web developer that would put your e-commerce store together? Or is that a different sector?
No, it is a web developer. I actually, well, through my business, I work with a web developer because I always tell people I am not a web developer, but a web developer is like baseline, right?
Yeah.
Quite apart from a web developer, you need somebody who understands design, you need somebody who understands process and flow, you need somebody who understands copy and language. What do I say to people? Because it's one thing for me to throw a website, but what I'm actually saying to them on the site, how am I organizing the site so that people have a good experience? So think of if you are walking through a retail store, when you walk into a Sephora, oh my gosh, my happy place, right? Or you walk into or you walk into like a Macy's or DSW or wherever you want to go and shop. There's a way that the store is laid out, and it's laid out so that you can have a particular type of experience, so that you walk in and you're able to go from product to product, item to item, and the cashier is located at a specific location, or even the try-on rooms.
Yes.
Think of a website in exactly the same way. What is the flow we are going through it? And a web developer can help you do those things. But where I would come in is that I would polish things, and I may see areas where for improvement. So I could say, well, put this here, or shift this like this, or say this way, change this language. It's not really giving that rich type of like, wow, okay, I'm looking forward to this experience. It's not really giving story. It's not giving brand. It's not giving positioning. So, and that's why I always tell people, I am not a web developer. I work with a web developer in my business, so that when you work with me, you understand that you have a marketing project manager. A web developer will just hand you up. Many times they will hand you an out of the box solution. Many times it has happened with me, even with the web developer I have, and I go back and I said, oh no, this needs to fix, change this, update this, fix this, and I would make those changes and tweaks so that I'm able to, so the customer actually is able to have a good experience. So I can immediately tell when you have DIY your site. Immediately, I know it for sure.
You can tell. Yeah, I can too. I can too.
Immediately, and it tells me that somebody who has a sharper eye for marketing did not see this site, because they would have not done certain things in a particular type of way. So, I mean, start where you're able to start. And I tell people, start where you're able to start, even if you start offline, because in the beauty industry, you need to marry the offline and online life in order to get the most out of the sales. But when it comes to growing, you know where to find me.
Let me ask you, because a lot of people, what you're saying, start where you can, budget. We got about 3 minutes left. How much, I mean, how does a person know when it's time to pull the trigger? I mean, because it seems to me, I just get the feeling it could be costly if you don't have a plan. Because if you put stuff up and nobody's buying, you know what I mean? So what kind of budget should a person get together, gather it together? Do you look for investors? What is a minimum, if there's such a thing, that a person could start with? $1,000, $2,500? What's a good figure? Do you know?
I would say about a 2,500. It might be a nice, easy figure you could start with. But here's what I would say before you even jump into that, because I always preach to people, understand the commitment that you're getting yourself into with this, right? So I say spend some time offline building up your resources. Do the pop-up shops, do the markets, talk to your friends and family, sell to them, get your selling ability up, so that you have regular customers, build up that database.
Like a warm market.
Yeah, build that up, because once you start to sell online, and moving online, knowing when it's time to move online would look like things like you can't keep up with the amount of sales that are coming in, it's just you, and you are there packing everything, and you have to pack, sell, be at markets, do this, do that. If that is becoming too much for you, it's time to kind of scale up your operation, so that you could just focus on fulfilling customer orders and let your website handle the rest. Automate the things you need to automate.
Have you ever seen a person who started something like this thinking it was going to be a little part-time gig? I'll make some extra cash, some extra Christmas money. And then lo and behold, they're putting in their notice at their day job, and now they're living their dream through their own e-commerce site. Have you seen that happen? Is it possible?
It's very possible. I've seen some people do that. I haven't had the pleasure of working with anyone like that yet. But I've seen that happen. I've seen people scale up their operation. and you see them and they're living their best life.
Yeah.
Glowing, looking great, right? I've seen that happen, absolutely, but it doesn't happen overnight. You really have to put in the work.
Yes.
You do have to put in the work for a couple of years because, as I said, this beauty industry is highly competitive. So if you really want to saturate the market with your product and have a lot of people buying, and not just buying, but buying again and again and again.
Consistency, yes.
Yeah.
Now we got about a minute left, and on the screen, you see everyone, there is the website at JBannisterBranding.com, and underneath, that's Instagram at JBannister Branding. And there's also hello at JBannisterBranding.com if you want to leave an email or ask some questions. Do you do tutorials or master classes or anything like that where people can come and just listen and you teach?
I do have a summit that I host every year. I'm going to be hosting it this year. That's later this year. So once people sign up for my mailing list or they grab my free download, they definitely will be able to get some updates on what that's like later this year.
Absolute perfection. I'm so excited. And I just want to say thank you so much, Jamila, for sharing your journey, your commitment to excellence, and also your inspirational piece of making it through and keeping going, and why there are no mistakes. That's just the universe. That's just God keeping our lives interesting. What an example you are. So keep going, keep growing, and keep showing others how to get to where you're at. Now, you all use the links, whether you're watching live or on the replays, get over, and no matter what kind of business you are considering, you might want to consider talking to Jamila about your branding and marketing. Get that brand Bible, how to get your hex codes, the right font, the feel, the vibe that resonates, something that is your jam, right? So check her out. You won't be sorry, I can tell you. And Jamila, if you ever want to come back, if there's anything else you want to share, you upscaled and just, which I know you're doing, come on back and we'll get you on here again, okay?
Thanks so much, Dr. Lauren.
Absolutely. Listen, thank you so much for everything. And thank all of you. I want to encourage you to get out today, wherever you find yourself. Look for ways to find your highest self. You woke up nice. You woke up great. You woke up bold. Where's an E and an R that you can gather today so that when you go to sleep tonight, you can say, I'm bolder, I'm brighter, I'm nicer, I'm stronger. That's all it takes. One E and one R. I guarantee you. Now get out of here. I will see you tomorrow, God willing, right over on the front porch, where together we'll come together and have a wonderful, illuminated conversation, pouring into each other. Now, I tell you in conclusion every day, I love you. And, yep, there's not a damn thing you can do about it. There it is. Listen, thank you so much, Jamila. Great job. See you soon.
Okay,
have
bye.
a great day, everybody. Bye.
Baby, I'll show you mine. Show me your soul. Honey, it's way past time. How expensive do I have to be? Need I spell it out before you get it, baby? Show me your soul. And honey, I'll show you mine. I'll show you mine. Sign, shamelessly displaying my state of mind.